rehearsed at not being friends with the firm facts or whatever it is.
He can't even get it. Look at it. He knows it's going terribly wrong. I seriously feel bad for this dude at this point. Last week, I broke down that interaction of him and Stefan, and it made him look terrible. And so this news station, they knew this, like all the buzz, all the videos made about it. They gave him a chance to do some kind of damage control. It was actually scripted where they had questions to ask him to give him a chance to come off and kind of explain what happened and rationalize and make himself look okay. And he ends up looking even worse. So I want to break this down and show you exactly what happened on what was supposed to be a nice day of him coming back and getting to redeem himself.
Please welcome News Hub national correspondent Paddy Gower.
Big applause, big applause.
Paddy,
Handshake.
just talk to these.
Handshake like some esteemed guest who just won his Nobel Prize.
Yeah. And
Not firm friends with the facts is my impression.
yeah, but they're very good at
rehearsed.
They're very well rehearsed at not being friends with the firm facts or whatever it is.
He can't even get it. Look at it. He knows it's going terribly wrong. Okay, so they had this planted where she was ready to basically say they're not friends with the facts, right? Saying that I guess they don't look at the facts, even though my take on that interview is they brought up a lot of facts in that argument. But you could see this was a planted question.
Not being friends with the firm facts or whatever it is. They're very good at that. They're professionals, and actually in some respects, in terms of having an intellectual argument with them, they totally nailed me. I just could not compete with them.
See, I actually think that's the best thing he does in this interview. He takes a humble approach. He said a lot of things they did to nail me. They're professionals. I could not compete with them. I think that actually takes confidence, because it would have been easy for him to continue to come up with different things about reasons why, but he was just saying, hey, I couldn't compete with them. I think that's high class. I think he actually comes off looking better and more powerful by having done that than if he would have tried to defend himself and rationalize reasons why he came off so bad in that interview.
Box, do you think the interview that you did was what they wanted?
Yeah, I mean, my personal kind of view on these sorts of things is I think censorship should be the very, 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 very last line of defence. And I mean, I've got quite a lot of faith in New Zealanders in being able to look at something if they want to engage with it. If they do engage with it, they can look at it and see the potential shallowness of the argument. And that's what they would have seen today, is a couple of nitpickers who spend all their time nitpicking, and it's pretty nasty nitpicking.
I don't get that. And once again, I'm not making a political argument here at all. I watched that interview to break it down, and I didn't see anything that was nitpicking or trying to like make something. In most of the arguments they brought up, it was like, well, here's the facts about this. Here's the facts about this. Even one of the questions I remember, he was like, well, you've said this before. And he's like, no. This is just a study that I'm citing. So I'm surprised that he keeps going, like the rationalization that they're nitpicking. Like that's something like they lied or they didn't tell the truth or they spun it. Well, nitpicking is kind of a defensive term for they were calling out little things that you wish other people wouldn't bring up. So I don't get why he keeps sticking on that word like that's his redemption.
They played us, haven't they? They played New Zealand and won. We've been a sucker. We're still talking about them.
Yeah, but I mean, we've won. New Zealand's won. I mean, they haven't actually got their stage tonight, and they're going to go out of this country losing money. And for a couple of people that believe in all these sorts of kinds of freedoms and everything, actually, well, in the plainest sort of terms the market has spoken, they're going to have to refund all that coin they got out of here, and they're going to walk out of this country making a loss. And that's called a win for NZ, in my view.
So that's interesting that they counted a win in that those people had to, Stefan and that gal lost money coming down to New Zealand and not being able to present. I mean, I guess it just shows that the news station doesn't believe in the side that the other people were representing. And so they think it's a win when people who they have on and have different political beliefs end up losing money or paying money. I don't really get that. I mean, the same thing at the same time, like even the stations here in the United States, it's very clear which side every station is on. So I think it would be ignorant to not say that certain stations want one side to look better. So I get it, but they're pretty straightforward by saying we won, New Zealand won, our news station won by these people not being able to present and by going home and paying for things on their own dime, especially after this guy just said he thinks that freedom of speech is the most important and censorship is the last line. But if these people that we don't believe what they say don't get to talk, then that's fine. It's good. New Zealand won. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous.
Overall, what was your impression of them as people? you know?
Yeah, you know, they're pretty reasonable when you're on the lift on the way down, and then and then she was all go, and it was actually quite frightening being against them. But at the same time, I kind of looked at them, and you know, it was.
You know, the funny thing, him saying it's quite frightening to be against them. If you watch that here, I'll put a link up here in the left corner of the card. You can click on it and watch me break down that video. Most of the time, this couple that he's interviewing, they're actually laughing and joking around and pretty jovial. I don't get the frightening part, unless he just felt, you know, outclassed from the social standpoint. I don't really understand the frightening part.
It's just like, it was a surreal experience for me, because I was just like, man, I just want this thing to be over, because I just don't even know what you're saying. You know, just like, what are you on about here?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. I haven't seen this before, by the way. It's the first time I'm watching this. This is my honest reaction. For a news reporter who's a professional interviewer to be like, oh man, I don't even know what they were saying. It sounds like some guy who's like high on the street and some cop asking for his ID. Man, I don't even know what you're trying to say, man. You're a professional reporter who's supposed to be able to lead and dictate and understand and comprehend and decode and explain what people are doing. This is unbelievable.
I don't even know what you're saying. You know, just like, what are you?
It's just like, what are you doing, man? It's just like, what are you even saying, man?
I don't even know what you're saying. You know, just like, what are you on about here?
Yeah.
And the best bit was
Unreal.
actually when I stopped him, and he said, why are you stopping me? I said, because you're on a rant. And he didn't know what a rant was. And I said, it's just when someone it's a Kiwi word for when someone just...
No, he knew what a rant was. He just felt like that was So this is bad. I would suggest, I'm going to put it back up here again. Watch this video. He says, so this guy, the Stefan guy, is giving an answer to a question that he asked, but it's not an answer that he wants. And so he tries to cut him off, but he kind of talks over him. And then he just defensively, this guy right here says, "What? You got to stop your rant." And he's like, wait, what, a rant? You mean it's a rant because it's not an answer you want? Like, it was not even anywhere near a rant. And so now he's trying to spin it to say he doesn't know what the word rant means.
I said, when I stopped him, and he said, why are you stopping me? I said, because you're on a rant. And he didn't know what a rant was. And I said, it's just when someone it's a Kiwi word for when someone just keeps raving on, man. It's got nothing to do with what you're saying. I just want to break it up because there's an audience watching here, and it's boring.
Well, let's not ban ranting in New Zealand.
Listen to that easy crowd.
Well,
it's like a sound in those sitcoms where they cue the crowd to laugh. Watch this.
Boring.
Well,
dude, this guy, I gotta give it. This guy's facial expressions are unbelievable.
Yeah, boring.
Well,
oh man. You know, this is kind of a pretty nitpicky assessment of this, right? I'm actually breaking down the social nuances. If when you're out in public, you don't have fun because you're not confident you understand what's going on. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't know when you go up to somebody if you're going to make a good impression, if they're going to like you, or why they behave in one way, and then you do it again and they don't behave in that way. If you feel that way, I'd highly suggest you touch or click up here in the left corner or go to socialinvincibility.com. I'll put the link right here. It's a program I put together that will solve that problem for you. You'll be able to understand what's going on around you so you can move confidently when you're out in public. Like these guys, I'll put a link here in just a little bit to that video. Again, they're very confident in public because they know they can handle themselves socially. It's a really powerful way to feel. It's a good thing to have. So I'm actually gonna, for the 50th time, I'm gonna leave you. I'll put a little outro with a little clip of this video. But if you haven't seen that interview of this guy, this frame is incredible. I'll put a link to the video right here that you can click to watch it there. I'll talk to you over there.
You give me a scientific answer. I was offended by you going off on a rant rather than just asking a question.
A rant? What do you mean?
Rant.
So if it's an answer you don't like, it's a rant?
No.
Okay.
You know, it didn't matter whether I liked it or not. I asked you a pretty basic question. You then and back.